Good evening, everyone. This is my formative speech for communications. These people are my audience. Walk into a classroom. What do you often see? Well, people with caffeinated beverages, whether it be Starbucks or Red Bull. Well, this consumption of caffeine is overly normalized, but do we really know how it's affecting you and your body? Well, that's why I'm here. My name is Justin, and I'm here to teach you of how caffeine can affect your everyday life. There are three main points I'll be talking about. First is how it affects your body, how it affects your mental state, and the other negative effects of overconsuming it. Well, let's start with how it affects your body. Two main points I'll be talking about is how it affects your skeletal system, or skeletal muscle actually, and how it affects your metabolism. This journal published in the British Journal of Pharmacology by Tallis in 2015 called "What Can Isolated Skeletal Muscle Experiments Tell Us About the Effects of Caffeine on Exercise Performance?" shows that muscles have a higher output from improving skeletal muscle contraction. This means caffeine affects the way your muscles pull and allowing you to work harder and produce more force. And the study also shows that it boosts endurance and strength, meaning you could pull for longer because it is a stimulant. Now, let's talk about how it affects your metabolism. Caffeine is, let me rewind. The article is called "Extrapolating the Coffee and Caffeine Effects on Exercise and Metabolism, a Concise Review," written by Starling/Source on 2023 and published in the Experimental and Clinical Psychopharmacology journal. This study showed that when exercising with aid of caffeine, it lowers perception of effort and increases metabolism due to its effects on your body. Well, what are these effects? Well, in simpler terms, caffeine speeds up or aids in the process of lipolysis and fatty acid oxidation. This is a process in which your body breaks down the fat stored in your body and turns it into energy. Paired with increased work ability and increased heart rate, this will mean your body consumes more calories. Now let's move on to how it affects your mental state. The three main points I'll be talking about is how it affects your mood and cognition, how it actually affects your brain and why it does it, and how it affects your sleep. Now let's talk about how it improves or affects your mood and cognition. This study done and published in the Experimental and Clinical Psychopharmacology journal by Lobby in 2022, titled "Expectation for Stimulant Type Modifies Caffeine Effects on Mood and Cognition Amongst College Students." To summarize, college students were taken and some were given a placebo, so others were not. And though there were increases of brain stimulation in most of them, even though they had this placebo, but those given caffeine actually felt more energized, more focused. And moving on to the next article that I use, it is called "Effects of Caffeine on the Neuromuscular System, Potential as an Ergogenic Aid," and published in Applied Physiology, Nutrition and Metabolism by Mark A. Tarnopolsky in 2008. This article basically showed that caffeine lowers your pain threshold, and this pairs well with how your muscles work, because caffeine is a chemical that disrupts other neurotransmitters in your brain, and those neurotransmitters are how your body communicates with each other, like sensing pain or sensing any other type of sense, touch, eye, you get the gist. And let's move on. Let's move on to how it affects your sleep. The study called Wide Awake at Bedtime, Effects of Caffeine on Sleep and Circadian Timing, released by Garbaza in 2021. It was a study done on adolescents that scanned their brain and how they acted before and after they slept. Well, the study showed that caffeine can exaggerate sleep problems by disrupting your sleep cycles and your circadian rhythm, meaning caffeine will affect how you fall asleep and when you fall asleep. The study also showed that 80 milligrams is enough for people to feel energetic, but usually in drinks that we purchase, it is a lot higher. And I feel that contributes to the negative effects of caffeine on your mental state. So, in summary of this article, it's you lose your deep sleep time and you delay your melatonin. Now, so let's circle back to mood and cognition, the college study. While a lot of college students improve their focus and their energy, a lot of them felt jittery, anxious, and restless. These are usually the normal effects that people feel when taking too much caffeine, and also tolerance of caffeine can develop if taken a lot. Well, that basically concludes my speech on how caffeine affects you, and I hope that in the future when you consume your next caffeinated beverage that you notice what I've said and notice any small things that affect your day-to-day life. Have a good night.